Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have a review of an absolutely amazing model. This is a release from the Cretaceous Creations of America, and this is Big Mike the Triceratops. Now, as you can see, currently it is not built or painted or anything yet. Of course, that will happen throughout the course of this review, and not long from now I'll have this built and painted. But I wanted to actually, before getting to that point, just show you how good the fit is for this kit. So if you are familiar with resin kits, you'll often get them where they don't fit perfectly. You'll have to do a lot of putty work or, like sanding and things like that to really get the pieces to fit. But this is straight out of the box, and I just wanted to show you how smooth the fit is. Like, look at that. There is almost no seam line at all with the head there attached, and the same deal goes with the legs, if I can find the correct leg. So there you go. You can see again, that is a super, super smooth fit, and you really don't often find any type of a fit that is, well, if I could turn this, that is that smooth. Look at that. That is unbelievably smooth. And Shane did tell me, Shane Foulkes is the person who is the owner and operator of the Cretaceous Creations of America, who is responsible for this kit in a collaboration. But you could see again, that tail is beautiful as far as the way it fits. So I really wanted to show this off to you guys before I put it together, because many people, I think, pass up on resin kits just because there's like building and painting and all of that stuff involved. But I really wanted to show you how good the fit is on this kit, so that if you order it, you don't have any type of worries or concerns about it not looking so great when you build it if you are new to it, or if you just aren't familiar with it, or in general if you're just not good with like putty work and stuff. This is a great kit to go with because Shane's pieces fit unbelievably well, like probably the nicest fit I've ever had when it comes to a resin kit. So now that that is out of the way, let's get this built and painted, and we'll be back in like a second. And just like that, we are back, and we have our Triceratops built and painted. And honestly, what an unbelievable Triceratops model this is. Like, actually having it now put together and painted up, I can say without question this is the best Triceratops model I have in my collection. And there are a lot of really top contenders for that spot, but man, this thing is just absolutely gorgeous. You can see that the Triceratops kind of has one leg up in the air, almost has like maybe a little bit of an alarmed or somewhat worried look on its face, and obviously is about to spring into action. Maybe there's potentially a predator or something lurking nearby. Maybe, in fact, the upcoming Tyrannosaurus release from Shane Foulkes. But I really cannot stress how unbelievably impressive this Triceratops is in hand, and Shane really did go above and beyond to give us the best Triceratops out there, and that's something he often does. He is, again, in my opinion, the greatest paleo artist, or at least one of the greatest paleo artists alive. But what is actually even cooler about this Triceratops is this is not specifically Shane Foulkes' only work. This actually went through quite the process to become a model and get released. And another one of my favorite sculptors out there also had quite a bit to do with this, as Passion Charger helped in the creation of this Triceratops. So what could be better than a collaboration between Shane Foulkes, potentially the greatest paleo artist of all time, and Passion Charger, also one of the greatest paleo artists of all time? When those two come together and create something, you know you are getting a masterpiece. A little information on the model itself. This is Triceratops Horridus. That would be the species that we are taking a look at, and it is in 1/20th scale. The model itself is made of resin, and you can actually purchase this model in 1/35th scale as well. So if you don't like the larger size of this one, you can get a smaller version. The model comes in 12 parts and obviously includes a base, as well as a precision kit fit with plug-in keyed parts, and that's what I was kind of trying to show you guys earlier in the review when I had it unassembled, just how good the pieces fit and how easily you can build this model. The model itself does retail for $225 US plus shipping and handling for the 1/20th scale, and $125 plus shipping and handling for the 1/35th scale. Of course, if you are ordering from Shane Foulkes, you can actually have him paint it up for you. And if you would like to get a pretty good idea of what his paintwork looks like, we've got some images right here that we'll throw up on the screen to show off how unbelievable his work is. Again, easily one of the most impressive artists in the world when it comes to making sure his models look about as realistic and lifelike as it honestly can get. But this model is a collaboration between Shane Foulkes and Passion Charger, in which Shane designed and sculpted the original model from fossil evidence in a forensic-style reconstruction from bone outblocking in the perfect general shape, then sent it to Thomas Most to scan it into the ZBrush system. Then that file was sent to the very talented Chinese sculptor Passion Charger, who under Shane's direction made upgraded surface detail that was created under the latest fossilized skin samples we have. Then the finished file was sent over to the amazing Raul Ramos, who we have featured plenty of work of in the past, to be printed out in both sizes, and then those masters were sent to Russ Mueller of Dream Master Creations for molding and casting. Lots of work and time and money went into the production of this model, so Shane would definitely appreciate your support in buying one of these great kits, as well as the plethora of other kits that Shane does have for sale currently. Again, easily some of the greatest models you'll ever see, so make sure you check the link that I will include in the description to the Cretaceous Creations of America website, where you can go ahead and browse all of the different models that Shane does have available, including, of course, this Triceratops, which is named Big Mike. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this gorgeous model right now. Now, of course, the paintwork on this model was done by me. It will not be even close to as good as what you saw from the master, Shane Foulkes, just prior to this, but again, I think I did a decent job, I guess, on the model. I'm really happy with the actual paint scheme that I had come up with, and the overall final product definitely looks nice, but of course a lot of that would just have to do with the fact that Shane and Passion Charger's sculpt here is so unbelievably impressive. But what you can see here in the head sculpt of the Triceratops is just loads of detail, like scale detail for days. You can see the scale detail is honestly really nice and vibrant, showing how high quality the cast is, and again, you can also see just in general a lot of movement in the face of the Triceratops, like specifically right here you can see a lot of skin wrinkling and skin folding and stuff because the mouth is open, wrinkling the skin up quite nicely right there. So as per usual, they capture pretty much every ounce of detail that you could ask for when it comes to the movement of this dinosaur. You also have the nostrils sculpted out up there, and then the beak, of course, the mouth is open. You can see the beak looks absolutely gorgeous, really nice detailing, like very fine detailing with like cracks and crevices and stuff within the beak. So that, again, is another area that'll pretty much paint itself for you. You do have a nice open mouth for the Triceratops, and you can see, even though it's not super easy to get in there to take a look at it right now from this vantage point, you can see the inside of the mouth sports some fantastic sculpt and detail, as well as the teeth included in there. You can see the tongue, even though the shadows here are probably going to overtake it, but the tongue is definitely present there on the inside of the mouth, which looks very, very nice. As you lead up here into the eye socket area, you can again see a little bit of a larger scaling there, kind of circling around the eye. The eye itself is also very nicely sculpted. You can see more kind of skin wrinkles and stuff as you move down here along the side of the face. If you run up into the frill, you can see that the scale detail starts to increase in size. We have very fine scales here in like the palate area. As we move back to the eye socket, you can see the scales get larger. And then as you move up into the frill, they get even larger. And you can see that the scales again are really quite impressively sized. You have sort of like a row of like scoots running down the frill here as you look in different directions, something that you often see associated with Triceratops. Really, really nicely sculpted. And then of course you have the kind of spikes that run along the frill, of course circling the entire frill, which are also beautifully sculpted. Very nice, very fine cracks and crevices included within those as well. And then when you move over here to the actual horns of the Triceratops, man, are those impressive. Like, look at the incredible amount of detail included in those. Extremely, extremely impressive. So many cracks and crevices, and I think they just have done such a great job of bringing this Triceratops to life in every possible area of the model. Like, you look at the scale detail, it's super vibrant, really, really nicely done. Every individual scale is sculpted out. There is no generic texture stamp or anything used for this model. It's just all intricate and incredible scaling as you look through the course of the model. And then again, you come up to like the beak. The beak has some beautiful cracks and crevices. You come up to the horns. The horns as well, again, just look perfect as far as what I would personally expect to see on a Triceratops, so the detailing does not cease anywhere on this model. As you lead down here into the underside of the Triceratops, you can see the throat here running quite nicely along the underside. You can also see a few wrinkles here, but again, that's because the lower jaw is opening up, so it's kind of wrinkling the skin right there. You can see quite a bit of creasing here in the neck region, especially as you lead up into the neck, because the Triceratops kind of has its head up, sort of leaning up, and you can see how the skin is wrinkling really nicely right there. Very, very nice attention to detail, as always, from Shane. As you lead back here into the body, you can see some more really nice creasing, again showing the movement of the front leg, especially as this leg is picking up here and kind of wrinkling the skin there in the body. You can get a good idea of the muscle definition of that front leg. Just a very big, bulky leg of this large male Triceratops. You've got the elbow back here. You also have the foot, again, very, very nicely sculpted. You can see the wrist as you move down into the foot. The toes are all beautifully sculpted as well. And then, again, the nails. The nails also sport some nice, very fine cracks and crevices, again showing off literally every ounce of detail on this dinosaur that you could possibly expect to see. As you move up here into the stomach region, you can see some more absolutely gorgeous looking scale detail. And one thing that I have noticed that Shane has done here, which is again something that I absolutely love when companies do, we have some injuries here, and you can of course either paint these as like scars or paint them as open wounds. And considering this is Big Mike, you know, he's obviously a pretty important and major member of his herd. I would potentially think maybe even the leader of his herd. He's going to get himself into some scuffles. He's obviously going to be included in some confrontations, and I decided to go with the open wounds as if maybe he was recently dueling or maybe even fending off a predator. We really don't know exactly, but I had painted them again as open wounds, something that many companies choose not to do, but it's such a realistic aspect of something you would see on a living, breathing dinosaur back then. So it was a very nice choice on the part of Shane to go ahead and sculpt that out. But as you move back up throughout the course of the dinosaur, not only do you see again some phenomenal scale detail, but you also see a lot of osteoderms. The dinosaur is pretty much littered in osteoderms all over the place, and you can see those as you lead up here into the back again. It's pretty much an osteoderm party. You can also see that we have the spinal column running along the back of the Triceratops. You can make out the hip bone right here, quite nicely protruding from the skin. Again, very nice muscle definition in the thigh, but what I love about this is that you don't see the muscle definition overly defined. Like, it in no way, shape, or form looks shrink-wrapped or anything like that. It looks pretty much exactly as I would expect to see, and you can see some more skin wrinkles and stuff here leading down off of the thighs pulling off of the tail, kind of wrinkling the skin, as well as some skin folding there in the back of the knee. You can see the knee as well, and then a nice big bulging calf muscle right here as you lead down into the rear foot. Again, some nice creasing in the ankle, and then again some beautiful sculpting for the toes as well as the nails, just like we saw on the front foot. And again, you can see how beautiful the scale detail is. Like, it's a little bit smaller here in the stomach region. You can see quite a bit of difference actually in size between the different areas of the scale detail. But then once you get back here to the thigh, look how big and large and just kind of rough and rugged looking these scales look. Really, really beautiful detailing. And then as you lead back here into the tail, you can see again some more movement in the skin, some more wrinkling and folding in the skin, and you have a very nice curve in the tail. Like, it really curves over here quite far. You'll probably get a better idea of that when you look at it from up above. There you go. You can really see the nice curve in the tail as it leans toward the dinosaur's left. So you can see how the skin is kind of stretching over here and obviously following along with that curve. And then if we take a look at the opposing side, this time the head of the Triceratops is leaning away from us. It's leaning toward its right, and you can definitely see that here. Again, in the detailing, you can see how the skin is kind of stretching here and also tensing as the Triceratops turns its head the opposing direction. You can yet again see the throat here on the underside, as well as some very nice wrinkling and creasing and beautiful skin detail as far as the scale detail and everything goes. And then again, as you lead up here, you can see lots of beautiful osteoderms and large scales and stuff throughout the course of the back. And then moving back up here into the face again, you can really get a good idea of just how impressive the fine detailing of the Triceratops is by looking at it from both sides. Again, unquestionably the most impressive and beautiful Triceratops I think I've ever seen. As you move back into the body, yet again, you can see the shoulder blade here protruding from the skin a little bit. Again, we pick up with those really nice scales. You can see this leg is planted over here, so the muscles are actually kind of tensing in the leg, especially because this one is already lifting up off of the ground, which means this leg is supporting the entire front half of the dinosaur and its body weight. So you would definitely see some nice tensing in that leg, and again, some nice creasing. Again, in the joint of the elbow is present back there. You can even see like some tensing right here when it comes to the muscle definition. Again, the beautiful foot sculpt, you can really see how those toes are planted very firmly on the ground. Again, continuing to support the weight of this massive dinosaur. And then leading back up into the body, again, a plethora of scales you can see, all different varying sizes. We can see a lot more of the stomach over here because the rear leg is kind of trailing on this side, allowing us a nice, better, and a more wide open view of the stomach region of the Triceratops. You could yet again see tons of like skin wrinkles, skin detail all over the place when it comes to this model. And then moving back up here toward the back, you really start to pick up on all of those osteoderms, again, those bumps all throughout the course of the Triceratops. You can again pick out the hip bone, some more really nice skin wrinkling, again showing the movement of that rear leg and how the skin in the stomach region is kind of reacting to that movement. Beautiful osteoderms, beautiful scales leading down that very muscular thigh. Again, some more nice skin wrinkling, and due to the tail curving toward us in the left side of the dinosaur, you can see some nice skin wrinkling and stuff right there, which is again something you would definitely see when it comes to that movement. You've got the kneecap right there, beautiful ankle as you lead down the course of the leg, and yet again another fantastic rear foot sculpt with those very nicely sculpted out nails, some nice creasing there in the ankle as well as the leg is kind of bending, again obviously about to take a step. And then you can lead out into the tail. You see that really nice curve yet again with the tail, some osteoderms kind of trailing out here onto the tail as well. And then if you take a look here at the underside, you can see that the detail on the underside as well is fantastic. You've got a very nice, very highly detailed underside to our dinosaur. You've got the cloaca present right there, so making sure we don't skip any ounce of detail on this model. And you can see that we have a very different style of scale detail for the underside. But just again, really big, bulky, and kind of rough and rugged looking scales. You can also see like skin wrinkles and stuff down here. Just generally some very nice movement shown. Beautiful muscle definition as well throughout the course of the underside. So, like I stated, absolutely one of the most beautiful Triceratops models in existence today. Just a beast of a Triceratops. And then you, of course, get the base, and the base as well is about as highly detailed, honestly, as the Triceratops. You have a very nice earthy area loaded with kind of pebbles and small stones, but you also have a few larger stones in here. And actually, again, varying in size, there's quite a bit of different sizes of different stones. Again, as far as the earthy texture goes, that as well is sculpted out beautifully. Almost gives me kind of like the feeling of a nice open area right outside of a forested area. You can see we also have like some twigs and stuff laying around, kind of like some tree branches. I guess they wouldn't really be twigs because they're fairly large in comparison to the Triceratops, so I would definitely pick those out as fairly decent-sized tree branches. But again, everything is just beautifully textured. It all is so easy and wonderful to paint. It really is just the type of model that is so highly detailed, it paints itself. And you can see the footprints of the Triceratops. Again, that's exactly where you're going to place your model on the base for it to stand in the grooves of the footprints perfectly. You've also got this really nice kind of lower part of the base that helps to give it a very nice museum-like quality to it. And that circles around the entire course of the base. And then on the underside, we've also got the Shane Foulkes autograph, which is incredibly cool because this is the first time I've ever had the opportunity to own Shane Foulkes autograph. And I've been a big fan of his for many, many years, so that is super awesome as well. So a gorgeous base to go with a gorgeous Triceratops. And then, like I had stated, you've got the base, you've got the footprints right there. There are no pegs or anything required for this type of a base because your dinosaur is quadrupedal, so you're really not going to need anything like that. You basically just have to take the toes, put them in the place of the grooves where the footprints are, and your Triceratops needs to be moved over a little bit, but your Triceratops will stand perfectly with absolutely no issues whatsoever. You can always go the extra kind of, I'm a little paranoid of my model falling over, and you could glue it, but I really don't think it needs it. It balances perfectly without any type of glue, and considering I'm actually one of those really paranoid collectors where I almost always glue my models, I don't feel the need to have to glue this one, so that really says a lot about its balance. As far as a size goes, and it's quite impressive considering it's a 1/20th scale. You know, this is actually going to be kind of difficult because the tail's curved so far over. So I'm just going to kind of try to hold this here roughly around where the length would be. The furthest point is probably the horns here up on the top of the head. So you're looking at about 15.25 inches, or around the 38.5, closing in on 39 centimeters. That is in no way, shape, or form a perfect measurement, because with the tail curving so far away, I'm just kind of trying to estimate. And then again, this horn is just like the potentially the furthest. This one might, because of the angle, might look like it's a little further. I don't know. It's tough to tell, really. But as far as a height, the horns definitely are the highest point, and you're probably not going to see it on camera, but it's at about 8.25 inches, or around 21 centimeters for a height to the tip of that horn. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our Big Mike Triceratops from Shane Foulkes. And you can really see now that that is a very impressively sized Triceratops, especially next to Mr. Papo Rex, who is a pretty decently sized figure, and obviously a strong contender during the period of Triceratops' life to take that Triceratops down, but clearly these two are not to scale with each other, and Mr. Papo Rex is probably not going to try anything against the Triceratops that large. Then for another somewhat hilarious size comparison, there is a Takara Tomy Stegosaurus figure in comparison to our Big Mike Triceratops. Clearly a big size difference there. We've also got a few of these other figures I've been using a lot for comparisons lately. There is a Collect Day Dimetrodon in comparison to the Triceratops, as well as the Collect Day Standard Dinosaur. Again, a huge difference in size between pretty much every one of these and this trike. We also have a Kenner Young Tyrannosaurus Rex. I don't know what a good place would be to put him. There, I guess we'll put them right there. You can again see a massive size difference between those two. And then for a size comparison that even I am intrigued to see, we have got ourselves, if I can find a good spot to put it without getting too much in the way, we've got ourselves the Big Mike Triceratops in comparison to the Beasts of the Mesozoic Ceratopsian series Triceratops, and you can see that they are actually quite similar in size. The Beasts of the Mesozoic version is kind of more outstretched with its neck and body, whereas obviously the Shane Foulkes Cretaceous Creations of America version has more action and life put into the model because it's posed in a action pose, kind of with the body kind of scrunched up a little bit more, but you can definitely see that they are a very, very similar size. We've also got ourselves a Batat. Actually, I guess we can move it back over. But a Batat Triceratops, if you happen to have that Triceratops in your collection. We also have the Toy-Way version of the Triceratops in comparison to our Big Mike. You can clearly see a pretty common trend occurring here, and that is that Big Mike is much larger than pretty much everyone else. We've also got ourselves a Nanmu Triceratops in comparison to Big Mike. Yet again, a massive size difference, but at least this Triceratops is a little bit bigger. We also have the Papo Triceratops in comparison to Big Mike, and you can again see a pretty massive size difference between those two. We also have this, which is a pretty iconic Triceratops toy from when I was younger. Again, a figure here that might help to give you a pretty good idea and appreciation for the sheer size of this 1/20th scale version of Big Mike. And then for one final size comparison, here is the Eofauna Triceratops in comparison to Big Mike. Yet again, showing that Big Mike is larger than almost everyone when it comes to this 1/20th scale version. So this absolutely beautiful Big Mike 1/20th scale Triceratops from the Cretaceous Creations of America and Passion Charger is unbelievable. I would pretty much term this as breathtaking because it really is exactly that. Easily the nicest and most beautiful Triceratops sculpt that I have ever seen. Sporting the most up-to-date and accurate appearance to a Triceratops that I think is out there. And don't forget, again, if you're not into the larger models, you're not into this 1/20th scale version, you can always get the 1/35th scale version, which would be significantly smaller and fit into your collection a little easier. But as far as the overall sculpt, again, it is as highly detailed as it gets when it comes to a dinosaur model, and that is no surprise whatsoever because it's sculpted by Shane Foulkes and Passion Charger, two of the greatest sculptors of all time. So you know you are getting nothing short of magic when you have those two working together, and that is definitely the case when it comes to this Triceratops. They have sculpted it out so beautifully with literally every single ounce of detail, every skin fold, every scale, everything on this is perfect. On top of that, you have a beautiful pose for the Triceratops, kind of giving off that slightly aggravated, kind of panicked sort of a look. Like, obviously the dinosaur looks a little stressed. It's making some sort of a vocalization. Looks almost like there's a little hint of fear and maybe a little bit of anger at the same time in the eyes of the Triceratops, and obviously the posing of the body with the leg kind of rearing up. It almost looks like maybe the Triceratops is actually kind of kicking dirt similar to like a bull would do right before it charges. That actually is almost what I'm getting out of this now, looking at it. It kind of appears to be the case as far as what that right front leg is doing, which is actually even cooler now that I've realized that. But you also have a nice, again, turn in the tail, a nice appearance to the head as it's kind of rearing up a little bit. And again, that Triceratops is definitely preparing to either attack maybe a predator or to duel with another Triceratops, maybe a rival male. It really seems to me like Big Mike is the leader of his herd because he really has that very large, big, impressive, strong, and healthy looking appearance to him, as well as, again, some scratches there on the side, some cuts that obviously show that he is not afraid to get involved in an altercation with something else. So again, further proving that he would be the leader of his herd. But you can again see that on top of the very nice fine detailing, on top of the beautiful pose for the Triceratops, that the sculpt just shows so many realistic aspects, again, with like the injuries and everything. The paintwork here, of course, is done by me. Your paintwork can turn out however you would like. Or again, when you order from Shane, you can have him paint it for you, which obviously is going to cost you extra. It's not going to stick to the prices I told you earlier. But when you see Shane's work, trust me, it is definitely worth it because you will not find a more realistic and lifelike looking dinosaur model anywhere on the planet than one sculpted and painted by Shane. And on top of the fantastic Triceratops, you get a very nice, very realistic base with a load of detail and realism in that area as well. It also sports the very nice museum quality appearance to it. This Triceratops is unquestionably worthy of a museum. It is that beautiful. So if you are interested in this, I will include a link in the description to, again, Shane Foulkes on Facebook, as well as the website for the Cretaceous Creations of America. And like I had stated earlier, make sure you check the website out. Just kind of scroll around, take a look at all of the other models, because on top of this unbelievable Triceratops, there are so many insanely awesome models that Shane has for sale currently. You really don't want to miss out on any of them. And of course, over time, a lot of those models will eventually be retired, so it's probably best to jump on them and purchase them while you still have a chance. So one way or another, again, check the links in the description. Order yourself either the 1/20th or 1/35th scale version of Big Mike the Triceratops, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.